Greetings, everyone. Dale Parrish, COS Today host, along with co-host Ken Kashuba. Hi, Ken.
How are you doing?
Ken's our state communications coordinator, so always glad to have him on board. And Ken, like I said, we've got a jam-packed show tonight, a lot of things to get in. And I'm going to immediately go to Maringo Mike sent us a little clip, and I think everyone's going to enjoy this. He always does a good job. So let's listen to Maringo Mike here to start things off this evening. Okay.
Young man, back in town for round two. I said, young man, there's a lot left to do. I said, young man, time to roll up your sleeves and remove those deep sea creatures. Young man, now the country's with you. I said, young man, now we're no longer blue. I said, young man, yes, it's time to make way for those future generations. Yes, we're wrapping up the final Marengo Mike's Corner for 2024, and Donald and I want to wish you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New COS year. We'll see you soon.
I'll tell you, that Maringo Mike, you just never know what he's going to come up with.
Well, I try and keep him on a short leash, Dale, but he tends to find his way into all different places. As you can see, he ended up in the White House there. I mean, in the office of all places. So
I wonder if everyone noticed who was peeking in the window back there, huh?
It's going to have to be a quiz at some point, I guess.
That's a good idea. We ought to see if any of the viewers tonight,
viewers, any viewers out there notice a little something in the middle of that video that just kind of caught your eye, a little sneak peek there. I don't know.
Yeah. We'll see if anybody comes up with the answer to that.
Yeah, okay. Put it in the chat if you got it.
All right. Well, Ken will be monitoring any viewer comments or questions. So if you're watching tonight on Facebook or our YouTube channel, feel free to, and you want to ask a question, make a comment or whatever, please feel free to do that. So Ken will be checking those and call any to our attention that we need to address. So Ken, how about giving us a little information on that QR code up there in the corner of the screen?
Sure will, Dale. That QR code right up there happens to be the way that you can show your support for COS Today and all that's going on here. It's just a subscriber list that you can put your name and email address to. And by doing that, you're going to have access to a platform that has a regular feed. So all the other supporters on there, you can talk amongst each other. You can check out some of the great contributors that we have. We have a lot of video contributors, some educational tutorials and information there. Just a lot to access, and it's all there for those that subscribe and show some support for the channel. So get your smartphone out, snap that QR code, and I'll go ahead and put a URL in the chat as well. So you can just go ahead and sign up and have access to that.
All right. Good deal. Well, I wanted to make sure I mentioned, we want to try and mention this every broadcast, that we're changing the name of our broadcast, of our live stream, from COS Indiana Live to Convention of States Today, or in other words, COS Today. So that's our new name. You'll be hearing more and more of that as we go on. So, Ken, we've been on our broadcast last week. We featured part 1 of my interview with Suzanne Monk of the J6 Pardon Project. And boy, I'll tell you, Ken, I'm hearing more and more about the pardoning of the J6ers. And haven't you heard that? You see that on the news a lot?
Yeah, it's being followed up after obviously the most recent or the recent pardon by the president. It's just kind of natural for people to start thinking about what President Trump might pardon. And
Yeah.
Sixers, I mean, those that are still waiting to even know what their crime is have been sitting in jail all this time.
Well, this group that I'm interviewing here, the lady that Suzanne Monk that heads this group up, this is the J6 Pardon Project. They're going to play a significant role in this process. We played part 1 of the interview last week, and I'm gonna start part 2 right now. So it's very appropriate, I think, to what's happening in our country today. So let's go ahead with part 2 of the J6 Pardon Project interview with Suzanne Monk. And this comes to us from our contributor, Wendy Olson, Pillars of Freedom, Wendy Olson. Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Again, Dale Parrish, COS Indiana Live. We've been interviewing Suzanne Monk, who heads up the J6 Pardon Project. And we ran out of time in this first segment, so I wanted to bring her back on because we got some more things to talk about here, some very interesting things to talk about. So I want to get right into it and get the rest of this covered. So let me bring Suzanne. Hello, Suzanne. Welcome back.
Welcome. Thanks for having me back, Dale.
Good to have you back. I wanted to pick up where we left off, Suzanne. I want to bring back up the website again that we were viewing, your website, the J6 Pardon Project. And let me bring that back up here. Okay. And I wanted to pick up with what you call the 6 steps to justice.
Yes,
so
sir.
You want to tell us what the 6 steps to justice are all about?
Yeah, the 6 steps to justice are the basic 6 steps that we included in the J6 Pardon Project strategy guide, which, as you showed in your earlier episode, you guys can download and read right there off of the website and read all of the advice we gave the president. But these are the 6 basic specific steps that we put in the book, in the guide, that we think are most critical. Obviously, number 1, I think we talked about it last time,
Yes.
Fire Elizabeth Oyer. She is horrible. She will slow down the process, and she is certainly going to be in the way. So I think that kind of explains itself. But the second step is to issue that pardon. We know that the president has promised pardons on day 1, and we don't want him to just issue pardons in any normal, ordinary, old, usual way, Dale. We're asking him to do something a little bit specific, and that is to use what is called the proclamation style pardon. Just like Jimmy Carter did for the draft dodgers, it's a pardon you can still go and apply for today. You can still file for on the U.S. Pardon Attorney's website today. It allows you to file for that pardon and receive that pardon at a time frame of your choosing. That is so critical to these J6ers who are in the middle of appeals. That's one of the pitfalls the DOJ has set up, making sure a lot of these folks are in the middle of appeals as President Trump gets into office and is offering those pardons.
But you point out here that there are actually 3 types of pardons, right?
Yes. Well, yes. And so that style of pardon is critical. The proclamation style is pardon is critical. But there are, in history, we did many hours of research on the types of pardons, and I worked very closely with Tamara Lee, who worked with the Pardon Flynn Now project, who worked on General Flynn's pardon, which was the first ever pardon of innocence, one of the types of pardons that we have listed here in the guide.
Okay. All right. Interesting.
So let me tell you just a little bit quickly about a pardon of innocence, Dale. Pardon of innocence stipulates not only the traditional things we know of a pardon, which is to remove the conviction, free the individual, but it asserts the innocence of the individual. And it's something that's only been used at the federal level one time for General Flynn, but it is used at the state level all the time. In fact, some state constitutions have it written into their constitution to use a pardon of innocence, and that pardon of innocence expunges the state criminal record in
Okay.
the process. So that's something we're asking the president to use in that pardon of innocence. There's an entire section on the pardon of innocence in here, including the language of the pardon. So that is one of the 3 specific types of pardons, and we think the vast majority of people deserve that pardon because they were innocent that day. They walked in through open doors, Dale, past officers who were welcoming them in. They had no idea they were doing anything illegal, and they went home. And so
Right.
the vast majority of them were genuinely innocent, and they should have a pardon that stipulates that.
Okay. All right. Can you go through the other steps real quickly here?
Yeah, I can. I just will mention the 3 types of pardons really quickly. There's, of course, the traditional type of pardon. There's also something called an absolute pardon, and that allows for future charges to occur. And I know there are some people are concerned about, people like Raymond Epps, perhaps, to drop a name, that they are concerned they did stuff that day that deserve actual charges, and they do not want a pardon preventing that. There is a way to remedy his wrongful charges should the president choose to pardon every single J6er. Through an absolute pardon that will allow future charges if necessary. So we've thought through that as well. But with that proclamation style pardon, we are asking the president to issue commutations simultaneously, because commutations are actually going to go faster for those individuals, Dale, who are currently incarcerated. That process of having your sentence commuted and getting actually out into the free world again goes much faster than the pardon process itself. So we're asking Trump to issue simultaneous pardons and commutations. And then the 4th step, which is so critical, executive orders. Everybody who is pre-trial does not need a pardon, Dale. They need their charges dropped, the record cleaned, and they go home, and they do not have that conviction over their heads for the rest of their life. A pardon, while it does remedy a lot of things, it is a second best option to acquittal, to innocence, to reversal in court, to a court decision in their favor. That's the best outcome for anybody in a legal situation. But the pardon actually is sort of that second best. We're hoping that with that executive order, everybody pre-trial will have their charges dropped and certainly have the benefits of that, as well as President Trump will need to rectify the veterans situation. The Veterans Administration, the VA, has cut off the benefits of these veterans, Dale, from the moment that they are arrested. They have not been convicted in a court of law. They are innocent until proven guilty in our system. But according to the Veterans Administration, not only are they not allowed to receive those benefits, but the Veterans Administration has actually sued J6 defendants for back benefits up to the date of their arrest.
And there were a lot of veterans involved in this, weren't there?
Hundreds,
I know.
Hundreds, definitely hundreds of veterans, and many of those were the ones who got some of the most egregious charges, Dale, because of the fact that those are the folks who are trained to react when people are at harm, when people are at risk. And when we saw officers shooting rubber bullets directly at the face of individuals using deadly force unlawfully, as I've seen in court in the government's own video footage myself, many hours of it, I've actually seen too many, when they fired flash grenades at individuals, when they fired pepper spray in exorbitant amounts, causing asphyxiation. Individuals like law enforcement, like military, they are trained to defend the innocent, and they stepped in to do so. And many of them are sitting in jail for assault charges against officers who were truly the ones that assaulted people that day, and who caused the death, and in fact, in some cases, murdered, as we see in the final step, individuals. 4 individuals who were murdered that day, killed, and Brian Signick, the officer who died the next day from his condition. You know, those individuals lost their lives because of the police brutality, because of the failure of security. And in the case of Ashley Babbitt, she was shot, directly murdered by Michael Byrd, who lurked in a hallway, rather than the officers there containing the situation as they should, protect the facility. They had no reason to shoot her, and they shot her in cold blood. She died. She was murdered that day in the Capitol, as was Roseanne Boylan, who was at the tunnel, was asphyxiated, was crushed, and then was beaten repeatedly by Officer Lila Morris with a stick repeatedly until blood came out of her nose. And then she
Wow.
was not provided medical care. She died there at the Capitol that day. As did Benjamin Phillips, Kevin Greason, who died from their medical conditions that did not receive medical care promptly because of the failure of Capitol Police.
Now,
So
how
people
about the
died that day
suicide?
from
How about the
officers.
suicides that have occurred since then? Are they
Yes, the
included?
many
Would they be included?
suicides, and frankly, some cases some cases of individuals who are J6ers who are deceased that look very suspicious. Motorcycle accidents, other incidences that, frankly, I as we look at these deaths that occurred in addition to the suicides, I have grave concern as to what caused those deaths. So, in some cases, directly denying medical treatment while holding a J6er pre-trial has led to a deterioration in their medical condition that has led to a fatality. So
Wow.
the government is complicit in many, many ways in the death of these individuals. Yes.
Okay. All right. Now, quickly here, Suzanne, I know that there were some that there were some violent charges. I call this violent charges, but there were some people that did act violently, right? I mean, where
Well,
we
certainly,
understand.
and what I would recommend to folks to get a real sense of what happened that day, to go to stophate.com and watch many of their documentaries, particularly the J6 A True Timeline, which lays out the events of that day specifically in the timeline so you can really grasp how a crowd that was entirely peaceful could get to a point where we have so many veterans, law enforcement officers, etc., with assault charges against police officers. And certainly that understanding the timeline makes a huge amount of difference, because what we're really talking about when we're talking about violent people versus nonviolent people, what we're talking about with regards to the law is that assault charge, 18 USC 111A1. And in particular, what we're talking about, Dale, is 111A1 and B. And B is that enhancement that adds with a deadly weapon or causing bodily injury. What we're seeing in these J6 cases, these so many J6 cases, is that most of these assault charges, these 111A1 charges, there is no evidence that the officer was harmed in any way. There might be no evidence, no video evidence of the alleged assault. It may be as minimal as someone was falling in a crowd and they grabbed a hold of the police officer's shield in the fall. Could be considered an assault and has been charged as an assault. So the vast majority of the folks who have that A1, there is no evidence they hurt anybody or even hit anybody. So that's a large percentage of what we'd call the violent charges. There are only 70 individuals who have that A1, 111A1 and B. And of those individuals, many of them only have that one charge. It's easy to look at and see, and frankly, see very quickly that is a self-defense situation. These individuals were defending themselves, or in many cases, defending the lives of others.
Okay. All right. You've really researched this a great deal, haven't
Yes, sir.
you?
Yes, sir, I have.
Just,
Yes.
folks, I think we could probably go on for hours with Suzanne here with all the information that she has stored in her mind. But unfortunately, we don't have that amount of time. Tell us, we're calling it the Pardon Task Force, right? That's who the task force that President Trump will put together. Am I right?
President Trump in several speeches has promised, obviously, to pardon J6ers on day one. He's promised to pardon other political prisoners as well, and he said he will put together a task force. He said this in many speeches throughout the year, that he will put together a task force. So we are looking forward to that, and that will obviously be under the Attorney General, because it is their role through the U.S. Pardon Attorney that also sits under the Attorney General to handle the process. So we are looking forward to that task force being formed. We've certainly been in all of the conversations about who is the AG. We were certainly very excited about Matt Gaetz. We had a lot of connections in a Matt Gaetz AG We certainly are now out hunting our connections and certainly, looking through our Rolodexes to see how we connect up with Pam Bondi, which we are excited also to work with. But as she is forming her team, there will be the individuals who form this task force, and they will be responsible and tasked with looking through these cases and reviewing them. As the president has said many times, he intends to review these cases. Now, I understand that 1,565 cases, that sounds like a lot of work. But as we've said, there are 318 of those that are pretrial. So now we're already down, to 1,200 and something. That
Right.
number gets whittled very quickly.
So you don't have any idea who's going to be on this task force at this
No,
point?
and I don't think Pam even knows because she just got the job today,
Yeah.
Dale. I feel like, that's been some of the thing that I think people are very, and I understand since the election, people are very excited, but the J6 community is really chomping at the bit to get that justice that they've been expecting all along. And so I know they're certainly hoping that moves very quickly. But we all have to be realistic. These teams, these agencies need time. People need time to be brought together. And so Pam just got picked. We're looking forward in the next days and weeks here, maybe even before Thanksgiving, to have some good idea about who she'll be using to head up such a task force.
Okay. Well, as with all of these groups that we've interviewed as part of the support network, you need donations. So right on the very, very home page of your website, down at the very bottom, you can click on make a donation, and this is where you can click to donate. And
And Dale, we appreciate you mentioning that. What we have used the funds that we have raised so far throughout the year to print the book, obviously, and to ship this out to many individuals, members of Congress, Laura Trump, Michael Watley, so many individuals we've mailed this out to, as well as travel expenses to get to events where I need to speak about the project, which has been certainly helpful to do so. And we're now getting to the phase where we want to continue to get this book into the hands of other J6 defendants. So that is one thing that we are using these funds for, as well as to continue the mission of this project and get this database into the hands of Pam Bondi's team of the Pardon Task Force, and to make sure that we are developing that communication so no J6er gets left behind. Dale, that's what's so critical. There are 1,565, and probably when I go to sleep and wake up tomorrow, there'll be another few, because they keep arresting individuals. Even
they are still arresting people, aren't they?
They're still arresting. They are still trying people. They are still moving forward with sentences. They are still moving forward with requiring people to surrender themselves for their sentences. So the witch hunt and the weaponization and the attack, the lawfare attack against these American citizens has not stopped, and it will not stop until Trump sits in that chair on January 20th.
Well, this is if I recall right, this is a day one promise that he's made. I don't know, if it will all get done on day one, but he will certainly initiate the process. He said,
well, Dad, we've tried to make it easier by doing President Trump's homework for him. So, keep us in your prayers, certainly. And feel free to reach out to President Trump. You can email him at 45office.com. Let him know how important pardons are to you. This is something that you really do care about, that you want these individuals to get the justice they deserve, and continuing to put that pressure and that encouragement from President Trump, I think, will make a huge difference.
All right. Excellent. Well, Pam's the new AG, hopefully. But Suzanne, I want to thank you for coming on and talking to us about this. And I just want to thank you for the job that you're doing here. I've, like I said, I've talked to some J6ers. I've discovered the network out there that exists to support these J6ers. I've been just overwhelmed by it, quite honestly. And I'm really, really looking forward, as you are, to day one and to see these people, some justice come to these people, because they have really suffered. They have really suffered. So
Well, and we certainly aren't gonna. Day one won't be the end of it. We're gonna make sure
no,
that these individuals have the services they need, the support they need to get their jobs back, their lives back. That they have so many needs after that day one. They're going to be a lot of folks who need our help.
that's a good point. This is a long-term project. This is not just a day one thing.
Yeah.
So all right, Suzanne, once again, thank you very much for coming on and talking to us about the J6 Pardon Project, folks.
Thank you for having me, Dale.
Thank you. I'll tell you, that's a very important project that's going on. I think it's going to become even more important as we get closer and closer to day one. So,
Yep.
Speaking of pardons and speaking of J6ers, I want to bring to everyone right now, I want to bring to you a case that we've been involved in for some time now. As a matter of fact, I think it was on our roundtable, October 28th, when I played this video that I'm going to present to you now on a couple out of Texas, Mark and Jaleese Middleton, and they head up one of these network groups that I spoke of. Patriot Relief, I believe, is the name of it, and of course they were J6ers, and they got caught up in this and they sat through a trial, and so anyway, to refresh everyone's memory, I'm going to play this video again that we played on October 28th about these two. And then I'm going to give you a quick update as to what has happened here recently with these two. So let's go with what we played on October 28th. I know your sentencing date has been changed a number of times, right?
Correct.
And I'm sure there's reasons for that, but your next date is October 22nd. Is that correct?
That is correct. They've changed it monthly ever since May 24th, and now we're scheduled for October 22nd.
Well, I can't imagine how that must feel. I mean, you're basically still prisoners in a way, right?
Yes, we are on home confinement. So
Home confinement.
Yep.
And every time and this keeps getting delayed and delayed. Wow, I don't know, guys. We got to wrap it up here on this segment. But I want to bring you back, and we're going to continue on with this because there's a lot more to talk about. So, will you come back to us?
Absolutely.
All right. We'll be back to you very shortly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys, I don't know what else to say, but other than thank you for what you're doing. You're certainly, I think we can say Convention of States is right there with you as far as reining in the breadth and control of the federal government and addressing overreach. So best of luck to you, and I hope we'll touch base with you as time goes on and see how things are going with you.
Absolutely. The difference will be made at the polls. That is going to be really the only way to save the January 6th defendants is for everybody to go to the polls. And let me tell you, just like Trump told you years ago, they're not after him, they're after you, and he's standing in the way. They're not after the January 6th defendant anymore. They're after you, and the J6ers are standing in the way.
So
I don't think we could close out any better. So thank you very much, Mark and Jaleese.
Thank you,
Dale.
Greetings, everyone. Dale Parrish, COS Indiana Live host. I wanted to bring you an update on this couple, Mark and Jaleese Middleton. The clips that you just watched came from our interview with them. Part 1 was on October 7th, and Part 2 was on October 14th. And in those clips, as you watched and heard, their sentencing finally was to take place on October 22nd. And yes, these are J6 prisoners. So I wanted to bring to you a quick update on that sentencing. It did take place, and I'm going to show you. This is a picture of Mark and Jaleese on October 22nd after their sentencing. Jaleese was sentenced to 20 months in prison, 36 months supervised release. Mark was sentenced to 30 months in prison and 36 months supervised released. Now, the interesting thing, I believe, is these sentences take effect January 21st, 2025. It's kind of an interesting date, isn't it? Anyway, I've gotten to know these people, and I think they're really good people. These are a prime example of what has happened to many of the people that were involved in January 6th. So all I ask, folks, is that you keep Mark and Jaleese Middleton and their fun, American Patriot Relief, in your thoughts and prayers. Thank you. Well, Ken, that that's kind of where we stood, where things stood as of then, as of October 22nd. Well, and if you can think back here, I mentioned that these sentences that they received became effective January 21st. Well, right. Here's the update. Everything got moved up. They have been ordered to report to prison, and Mark has to report to the Federal Correction Institution in Beaumont, Texas, on December 17th. December 17th. That's next week.
Next week, right before Christmas. Yep.
Right before Christmas. And Jaleese also has to report on December 17th to a federal correctional institution, but at a different location. So they won't be at the same place.
Yeah.
But she has to report on the 17th of December. Why these dates got moved up, we don't know right now. And of course, it's believed that was done on purpose.
Well, when they delay the actual initial parts of this, and then suddenly move things up on the backside of things,
right?
Kind of makes it look that way, doesn't it, Dale? I mean, it kind of makes it look like there's some reason for punishing them.
It does. It does. Keep them separate. Put them in separate institutions, so they won't be together for Christmas.
Yeah.
So just in case that Trump would in fact pardon them on the 21st, and they might not have to report at all. But I think there's something devious going on here. But unfortunately, they're going to have to do what they have to do here. So, and I'm told our contributor, Wendy Olson, who's in touch with all these groups going on, that there are arrests still being made. They average 2 a day still, and even arrested a couple people on Thanksgiving Day. And so this continues on, and I'll tell you, it's going to be. It's going to be a major day one story. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
Can't hear any sooner, Dale.
So I hope everyone appreciates that update, and we'll keep you informed if anything else comes about with this couple. So keep them in your prayers. Keep them in your prayers. Well, we're going to shift gears here a bit. We're going to play you an audio that I got their names here. Two of our COS supporters in Minnesota have had this. I don't know if one of these individuals actually did the recording or if they uh, got someone from a local radio station. I'm not clear as to how this came about, but this is a recording on Convention of States that they created, and it's being sent out to supporters and prospective supporters all through the state of Minnesota. So I thought it would be interesting to listen to this. It's very good, and we'll hopefully get some more information on these two individuals and maybe get them on to interview. So let's listen to this.
We're afraid of who? The runaway boogeyman is not Convention of States. Convention of States is an idea that the U.S. Constitution can be amended not just by Congress, but by a confluence of state legislatures who come together with a common subject matter, elect representatives like the old days, meet, greet, chat, make suggestions, approve the suggestions, and send them out to all 50 states for ratification. And before you run to your computers and pound your fists and shout, no!
I think we've lost the audio here, Dale.
Rita says a number of state legislatures have fallen victim to rumors and half-truths about fears that the Convention of States method will result in a runaway convention, create all sorts of havoc and turmoil, destroy our God-given rights. And we believe that one method, one group, will end up with that nasty result, but not the other. Why? Who's putting those thoughts in our little heads? The Convention of States didn't bring on prohibition. That was Congress. And limiting the years a president can serve, but not senators, representatives, and bureaucrats? Congress again. Perhaps we're getting our fear and loathing implanted, not from the founders of the nation.
I lost it again. Seems that audio is coming in and out, Dale.
I'm sorry, what were you saying, Ken? Was that not playing well?
Seems like that audio is popping in and out. Yeah, we losing it in and out.
Oh, really? Sorry about that. Well, we tried. Okay.
It happens.
Yeah, I thought it was very good. We'll try and get this fixed so that we can play this again at a future date. But it's very basic stuff, obviously. But thought it was very good, and I'm going to be very interested to see what kind of response they're getting on this. So maybe, like I said, maybe we can get. I only put their names up here. Maybe we can get David and Ray on at a future date and talk to us about this.
That'd be great.
All right. Well, John Ackerman has a new series that he has started with us, and it's called "Telling the Truth to Tamara Scott." Am I right? Am I saying that, Tamara?
Tamara.
Tamara Scott. And now he's kind of introduced her a bit in the first episode, but you're going to get to see her here in this second episode, and I think you'll understand a little bit more what he's trying to do here. So this is John Ackerman with Tamara Scott, episode number 2 here.
All right, so we mentioned convention of states. It just doesn't seem to go away, Andy. They seem to have just unlimited resources and budgets, and they just keep coming back. We do have some good reports. So do you want to talk about the bad reports or the good reports?
Well, let's start with the good reports, Tamara. In Montana, the
Okay.
dark money forces went in there and tried to get the convention of states through. It looked bleak there for a while. It looked like they had the votes, and then just as happened in the Equal Rights Amendment battle that my mother won, when it came to the final vote, we barely won. The other side did not have the votes, despite the billionaires, dark money, and all the things they're doing behind the scenes. They came up 1 vote short in Montana, Tamara. So we won in Montana. We won for the year.
John Ackerman for Convention of States, Indiana. This is episode number 2 of my series, Teaching Truth to Tamara. You'll remember from episode 1, I introduced Tamara Scott, told you who she is, how she's right about so many things, but she is wrong about Convention of States. Well, this is episode 2, and you just saw a short clip of her talking with a man named Andy Schlafly. Andy is the son of Phyllis Schlafly, the famous conservative activist who was right about so many things, but wrong about Convention of States. Now, Tamara and Andy said 3 things in that short video that I want to respond to. Number 1, she said that Convention of States has unlimited resources. Well, that is so wrong that it's just laughable, okay? Along with that, number 2, she said, dark money. Well, let me tell you the truth, Tamara. Those claims are nonsense. Convention of States is a 501c4 recognized organization by the Internal Revenue Service. You can get the Convention of States IRS Form 990 and our financials at GuideStar. I just looked them up. They are there. And the most recent report says that Convention of States gross receipts, and it didn't say, but I presume this is the most recent year on file, gross receipts were $1,536,162. 1.5 million. Not unlimited resources. And GuideStar lists COS assets at $1.6 million. Hardly unlimited resources. And dark money, every donation made to Convention of States is reported. There's no dark money, okay? No dark money. Well, towards the end of that short video, Andy Schlafly said, they fell, meaning Convention of States, fell 1 vote short, and, quote, we won Montana. Well, Tamara and Andy, you won that battle. But the war is far from over. And at the time of this recording, 19 of the 34 required states have passed the Convention of States resolution calling on Congress to call the convention. Those 19 states, in the order in which they passed our resolution: Georgia, Alaska, Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, Indiana, I was part of that movement, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Arizona, North Dakota, Texas, Missouri, Arkansas, Utah, Mississippi, Wisconsin, Nebraska, West Virginia, and South Carolina. 19 states. We have not won Montana. Maybe we will. We'll see what happens. But we are on the road to winning the war. 15 more states, and the convention will be a reality. And that, Tamara, is the truth.
Oh, John.
Yeah, good work, John. He was right on, right on. You know that Andy Schlafly, he's from my hometown.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, and his mother, Phyllis Schlafly, obviously was from my hometown too. Never
Well,
knew.
if he's still there, maybe you should arrange a coffee or something. Just
I doubt that he's there anymore. But anyway, that's good, John. Evidently John follows this lady, and like he said, evidently she covers a lot of good things that he agrees with, but this particular one, Convention of States, he has strong opposition to on the way she handles it. Obviously,
bad information somewhere. Yeah.
So we'll be seeing more and more. You're working on. He's already recorded a few more episodes. Am I right, Ken?
Yeah, I've got a couple of newer clips that are other clips that he wants to use to show where she has obviously been mistaken, and so we've got more of those coming.
That's good. Good. Look forward to those.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about what's coming up next on our next live stream, which will be December 16th, 1 week from tonight. Debbie Stewart is going to come on and talk to us about Trump's 10-point education plan. Have you seen anything on this?
I have not yet. I've had some slips of information that he's got something in a plan, and it's nice to know that a president-elect has a plan, who can actually talk about this kind of stuff. But I look forward to it because I think the education portion of our country is in very sad shape.
Well, he has a number of plans. There's also a 10-point plan to dismantle the administrative state, and I think, as a matter of fact, I think John Ackerman's were looking at that being a topic for our roundtable in January.
Interesting.
So anyway, there's some different plans out there, but I think this is going to be. I'm interested. I'm anxious to hear what Debbie comes up with on this. Obviously, one of the points is to eliminate the Department of Education. That's. But there's certainly
all those people are working from home too, I think.
Yeah. So anyway, that'll be interesting to see what she comes up with there, and that'll be interesting to hear. Then on December 23rd, we have part 3 of our series, our roundtable series on the Bill of Rights. Don't you dare. In other words, the things that are forbidden in the Bill of Rights. And this is going to be, we're going to record this ahead of time and present this on December 23rd, which is the week of Christmas, obviously. So it'll be a recording.
It'll be the last part, from what I understand.
Pardon me?
It'll be the last part. We're going to finish this up on the before the new year.
Yes. be the last and the last roundtable. I might also mention I didn't include it here, but then December 30th, our last weekly live stream, we'll be doing probably a best of on that day. So we'll all be off for New Year's, and then coming back then in January, and so that's kind of what is in store for the rest of this month. So December 16th, the 10-point education plan, and December 23rd then is the roundtable Bill of Rights, Don't You Dare, Part 3. Okay. Once again, folks, if anyone has a comment or question about tonight's broadcast, feel free to drop us an email at raiseyourvoicecos@gmail.com. raiseyourvoicecos@gmail.com. Well, Ken, we're running I thought we had a jam-packed session tonight, live stream tonight. We're actually running a little ahead of schedule, aren't we?
Yeah, we had to shave a few. We shaved a few minutes with our audio technical difficulties. So
yeah, that's true. That's
give us
true.
a few extra minutes there, which we probably were trying to account for. Yeah. So
Yeah.
trying to
Okay.
back it up for people.
Has anybody guessed who?
No, I think they'd almost have to see it again now that they know that to look for something. I think, Dale. So maybe if we got some extra time, maybe you want to play it again.
You want me to play that again?
Yeah, people that are watching at this point, the viewers, if you want to keep a close eye during the video and just look for a very subtle, what should I call it, Dale? A little subtle clue.
Peeping Tom. I thought maybe that
might be a clue. Yeah, something that appears in the video that you have to kind of keep a sharp eye out for.
Okay, let's play it again here since we got a little extra time.
All right.
Oh, I got to start it over here.
Okay.
Young man, back in town for round 2. I said, young man, there's a lot left to do. I said, young man, time to roll up your sleeves and remove those deep sea creatures. Young man, now the country's with you. I said, young man, now we're no longer blue. I said, young man, yes, it's time to make way for those future generations. Yes, we're wrapping up the final Marengo Mike's Corner for 2024. And Donald and I want to wish you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New COS year. We'll see you soon.
All right.
And if you don't get it during our live segment before we tune out here, you could always send us an email. Send us an email at gmail.com and tell us what you saw. If you
All right. Still nobody's guessing it, huh?
Not yet.
All right. Okay. Well, let's wrap things up. We're going to bring John Ackerman back on again with an episode on COS basics. And this will be about the Congress having the powers to control the Article 5 convention. So
hold on, Dale. We got some breaking news for you here. Looks like we got some breaking news.
There, David caught it. All right.
Caught the creature, the deep sea creature that was supposed to be removed, looking like Biden in the window. Yes, he appeared in the window behind the seat of the Oval Office.
Way to go, David. Good work. That's right. Yeah. So that was fun. Okay, Ken, I'm going to go ahead and play this episode of COS Basics, and then we'll sign off, and that'll be it for this evening. So everyone, thank you for tuning in. And we'll see you next Monday, the 16th. So everyone, have a good evening.
Good night.
Ackerman for Convention of States, Indiana. In my series, COS Basics, today I want to talk to you about a point made by attorney Rita M. Peters. She writes that Congress cannot use its Article 1 powers to control an Article 5 convention. Okay? Congress cannot control a convention. Article 5 naysayers claim that once 34 applications have been filed, Congress will simply assert its power under the necessary and proper clause from Article 1 to take over the convention. The response to this claim is a matter first of law and second of logic. Number one, the law. The necessary and proper clause is part of Congress's regular legislative power found in Article 1, and it does not apply to Article 5 at all. Because the limited authority Congress has under Article 5 is completely separate from its regular legislative powers. In fact, federal courts have ruled that Congress's attempt to use Article 1 power to affect the Article 5 convention would be unconstitutional. Quoting now from the court, Congress, outside of the authority granted by Article 5, does not retain any of its traditional authority vested in it by Article 1. Close quote. This case, incidentally, was litigated and won by the Convention of States Project's own Michael Ferris. So it's a matter of law. Number two, there's also a logical flaw here. Why in the world would Congress even bother to make an unconstitutional effort to try to control the Article 5 convention when it can simply propose amendments of its own? And so I repeat attorney Rita M. Peters' point that Congress cannot use its Article 1 powers to control an Article 5 convention.